So I was watching a video the other day and I learned that closing a credit card is actually a bad idea for me. And I get it because then you're eliminating your credit line, your credit history, which is completely necessary to maintain or build a healthy credit history. However, I am not quite sure if I follow correctly because I do know that there's some credit cards that have a very high annuity and therefore it's gonna wind up costing me a lot of money. Those are some of the very common questions and commentaries that were left in my prior episode. And in today's video, what I'm going to do is to teach you or show you how you can actually close a credit card the right way. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. If this is your first time tuning into NOVARISE Invest, this is your channel for real estate education. So yes, back to the topic that we were talking about, closing credit cards. Ideally, you shouldn't be closing any credit cards whatsoever. But if you must, it doesn't mean that you cannot close them. It just means that you can only if you have the right strategy to do so. And in today's video, that's what we're gonna cover. So without further ado, let's dive in straight into the board. All right, so there are two different strategies that you can apply to close your credit card the right way. And the very first one is to downgrade your credit card. Now, for this to work, you need to have cards in the same bank, right? So it has to be within the same bank, and it has to be within the same family of credit cards, right? So let's say we have a bank like American Express or Amex. So we have Amex. And I'm sure that when you take a look at Amex, you will find multiple different families of credit cards. So you will see some that are part of the Blue Cash family. Sometimes you will see the Amex Gold, sometimes you see Amex Green, and there's another one that's called Delta, Sky Miles, and so on, right? So they have plenty of different families within the same bank. So when it comes to downgrading, you can only do that if these two criteria are met, meaning it has to be from the same bank and you can only downgrade within the same family, from Blue Cash or down to Gold or down to Green. So for the purpose of this example, we're gonna talk about the Delta Sky because that's the one where I actually did this exercise with. So originally, what I had was the Delta Sky Mile Gold. That's the card that I had. And this card in particular had an annual fee of $95. And yes, I was able to accumulate miles and points and travel with them. But in the end, I realized, do I really need to pay for a card like this one when I have, let's say, for example, the Chase Sapphire that allowed me to do basically the same things? I could accumulate points. If anything, I will get more points for traveling than this card in particular. But I did not want to lose the credit line that I had, and I also did not want to lose the credit history. And that's what happens when you close your credit card. So instead, what I did, I took my card, I called the 1-800 number in the back of the card, and I just simply asked the rep, hey, is there a way I can actually downgrade this card to one that doesn't have any annuity whatsoever? And in fact, that's what they did. So what they did is that they took this same card and they actually downgraded to the Delta Sky Mile Blue. So this card in particular had an annuity of $0. And I was able to keep the best of both worlds. I was able to keep the credit line that I had here. So that means my credit score was not impacted whatsoever. And same thing with the credit history, because all I did was just to downgrade it. So that's one way in where you can actually close, quote unquote, your credit card in a very effective way with a strategy without impacting your credit score. And now I just realized that I ran out of space. So in the meantime, I'm gonna clean the board. And while I do that, I'm gonna need you to hit the like button right here to help this video rank and help other people like you who are trying to get access to the same type of information. Okay, now that we got some space, the second strategy that you could apply is just simply merging the credit cards. So merge credit cards. Some people call combining them as well. So combine, right? And the way this strategy works is that the cards, they have to belong to the same bank, right? So just have that here, same bank. So let's say, for example, we're gonna use Chase in this case because Chase has a great variety of credit cards, just like American Express does, right? So amongst the list of credit cards that I am aware of, Chase has the Sapphire, they have Freedom, and they have the regular Freedom. They also have Freedom Unlimited, doesn't matter. They have Amazon. They have a bunch of other cards that are related to travel. I don't recall exactly which, I think it's the Delta, and then so on, right? So if you were to compare each and one of these cards, some they have an annual fee and some they don't. So for Sapphire, it's also $95. For this one, it's $0. For this one, it's $0. So with the Sapphire, you don't get to pay the annual fee during the first year, but any year afterwards, you are required to pay the $95. So I did take advantage of the benefits during the first year, but on the second year, I realized, you know what? I don't know. Yes, it's still giving me great benefits, but do I really want to pay the annuity? Yes or no? And in this case, so what I did is that I call once again, the 1-800 number in the back of the card, and I actually asked them to help me combine these two cards. Now, it doesn't have to be these two. You can combine them with the Amazon or with any of the travel cards. The key point is that you have to merge the cards within the same bank. So here, let's say, for example, you have a credit line of like $3,000. And maybe on the Freedom, you have $1,000. So even if you refuse to pay the $95 or you don't feel happy paying $95 for annual fee, if you choose to close this card, you're letting go $3,000 worth of credit line. And that's not ideal because, as you know, it will impact your credit score. So what I did, I asked them to merge these two, and I wound up with a credit limit of $4,000, which is the most important thing, right? So I merged these two. I eliminated the $95, and this is the card that was left. You have to be careful when you call them. You have to tell them, you have to be very clear that when you merge these two cards, the one that should be standing at the end, the one that should still be active, is the one without the annual fee, because obviously if you don't do that, they can make a mistake and they can wind up combining it with the Sapphire, and you will still wind up having to pay $95 because you didn't tell them which card you want it to be active in the end. So very important. Merge the credit cards and then tell them, I still want the Freedom to be active. I no longer want the Sapphire to be active. So that way you can keep the access to the $4,000. The only downside of this strategy is that, let's say, for example, this car only had 1 year worth of credit history, but this car had 3 years worth of credit history. When you're combining the two, it will keep the primary card's credit history, meaning 1 year. So you're letting go of 3 years. Yes, it's not ideal, but I rather let go 3 years, which is a very small percentage compared to the percentage that you will let go if you were to completely close this credit line and let go of $3,000. So in the end, if you were to choose between the length of your credit history and your credit line, you will definitely rather keep the credit line because that's a much higher percentage in your FICO score breakdown. So there you go. These are the two strategies. In the event that you want to check the last episode, I have left the link right here so you can actually check out, where I talk about the reasons why you shouldn't close a credit card. And I also gave you the breakdown of the FICO score, which will definitely help you complement everything you just learned today. So don't forget to check this out, and don't forget to hit the like, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.